And for the NFL, a couple of games to keep an eye on here. And George, the Jaxson Dart era we mentioned begins in New York because Russ is, well, he's just cooked at this point. We got an 0-3 Giants team taking on a 3-0 Chargers team. And we saw this game open up with the Chargers -5.5. It was bet as high as 6.5 here yesterday. And then, of course, the news broke about Dart starting the game. And I was wondering if we were going to get any buyback on the Giants. But guess what? We haven't. We still see about 6.5 in the marketplace. And this is one to keep an eye on because the Chargers are on a short week. They're flying across the country for an early start. And listen, the one thing this team needs is some motivation and some, a fire lit. For an 0-3 team to get the rookie who played great in the preseason, everybody's got to elevate their game, right? I think if this game gets to a touchdown for the Chargers, I'm going to have to look towards the G-men getting a TD at home. George, what do you think?
Listen, I took the G-men on Sunday night. Now, granted, that was with Russell Wilson, but it was against Kansas City, a team that I don't think is all that great this season here. So I took the G-men getting, I think it was about 6.5 versus Kansas City. Didn't work out all that well. Quarterback's not the only problem the Giants have, right? They really don't play the run very well here. They're letting receivers get behind them. It doesn't matter how good your pass rush is, and it is really good for the Giants, but if you let receivers get behind you, they're going to get hit. And Justin Herbert is playing like an MVP candidate, right? Maybe the best we've seen him play in his young career here. It's going to be hard to take the Giants where I'm going. I don't think I can take the Giants back-to-back weeks, show. I just can't do it here. Everything you said is true. Short week, flying cross-country here. But the Chargers, outside of the Buffalo Bills, might be the best team in the AFC. They are playing that well, and we don't know how a rookie quarterback's going to do in his first start. I know he had a great preseason, right? The Giants are scoring 40 points a week in preseason. It counts now against a really good team here. I don't see how I'm going to be able to pull the trigger on the Giants.
Well, we got one more game we're going to talk about when we come back because the Browns taking on Detroit. Fascinating what's happening in the market with this one as well. We'll have it for you on the early line on the grid. All right, welcome back in here to the early line on the SportsGrid Network. Middle week here as we look to get you prepared for what should be a epic week 4 in the NFL, week 5 in college football, and the end of the Major League Baseball regular season. Joe Ranieri alongside George Kurtz here. And we've got one more spread line we want to talk to you about, and that is in the NFL with Cleveland traveling to Detroit this week. And it appears, George, that the Lions, well, they're not dead without Ben Johnson calling plays after all. They just dismantled the Ravens defense. And now they head home on a short week to take on these upstart Browns who have maybe the best defense in the NFL. They just destroyed, by the way, the team that kicked the Lions from goal to goal to start the season in the Green Bay Packers. They just beat that team. And this line opened up Lions 9.5. And all we've seen is Browns money so far, dropping it down to -9. And the total is the interesting part here, George, because it opened up 46.5, and it's been bet down to 44. So we've got a very low total, and we've got a team laying almost double digits. That's not a great combination. Something has got to give there. And to me, I'm going to see if the public comes in and starts pushing this thing to back to 9.5, maybe even 10 before the kickoff, because after all, recency bias, it is Detroit. I'll be looking to back the Browns if I can get this to -10. I think that's the buy point here with the Browns on the road with that defense. I think getting 10 is probably a good value.
I don't think there's any doubt there'll be a little letdown from the Detroit Lions. You played Monday night in Baltimore. Huge game, right? And you throttled them. I know it was 38-30 was the final, but you really throttled the Ravens there. So there'll be a letdown in this game, right? My problem is going to be this. If you let's just say it gets to 9.5, 10, like you said, and I think it will get up there, especially as we go later and later in the week here. How many points do we think the Browns can score? That defense, as you said, might be number 1 in the NFL. I completely agree. Myles Garrett, give him Defensive Player of the Year. He is that good. But that offense sucks. It is bad. All right. I mean, we're talking about Jaxson Dart. When is Dylan Gabriel taking over? When are we going to see Shedeur Sanders? We're going to see both this year. And I have no doubt about that. That's going to happen there. They can't score. On a great day, the Browns score, 13 points here? So it means you only need Detroit to score 23, 24, and they cover the spread here. And that's it. The Browns can get the 13, which I don't know if they can. They beat Green Bay last week because Jordan Love threw an interception on the second to last drive. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What did you see there? You and I don't throw that interception. It was an easy read there, but he made a bad play. So I'm gonna have that's my problem here. If the Browns had a below average offense, I'm right there with you, right? But his offense is bad. Yeah, it's Judkins and prayers. All right, that's all it is. Flacco's a statue back there. He's going to get sacked 1,000 times here. I think the Detroit Lions, they won't blow them. It's not going to be 34-3. It's not going to be that. There'll be a letdown there. The defense is that good. But I can see this being 20-7, and therefore Detroit covers, even though they didn't really do all that much.
Yeah, well, total is 44. Somebody's scoring. And it ain't going to be all Detroit making up the 44 points there. So it's going to be interesting. Getting 10 points with anybody at this point in the year with a number one defense, yeah, worth the shot. But wait, it's -9 now because the Browns have been getting the pro money. The public ain't running to the window to back the Cleveland Browns. So keep an eye on that line as the week progresses. And that is your spread line here for this Wednesday. But we got a lot to look forward to because, again, the Jaxson Dart era is happening with the Giants. And I'm going to be interested to see this line movement as well here, George. But there is no doubt, sometimes a team needs a kick in the you-know-what here offensively. Listen, we saw this team look very good at times with Jaxson Dart because he does a lot of different things that Russ can't do anymore. 44.5, again, a low total. Cross country. I mean, if you can get a touchdown in this and you already bet the Giants, I'm rooting for him. But the question is he going to be successful enough to save Dable's job this year? Is that basically what we're hoping for?
Not with that schedule. I mean, it's the schedules are too brutal here. I think the only way Dable gets his job saved, they're not going to win games, Joe, but maybe Dart shows, oh, wow, he's taking off with Dable, right? He's playing better here. And they keep Dable for that reason because they don't want to put him in a new system next year and start over from scratch. That I can see here. But he played very well in preseason, but he was seeing vanilla defenses here. The Chargers are going to throw every blitz and every kind of complicated defense he's never seen before at him. We'll see what he does.
Well, that's it. Fingers crossed, Giant fan.
Losing your patience is never a good thing. On the early line, we like to stay involved and we like to stay connected here is the key word. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri talking some major college football this weekend. So excited to see those games play out. But again, make sure you keep it right on the SportsGrid Network. So many games, so much information that you need. College football on Saturday, we got you covered. No doubt about it. But before we get there, Joe, Thursday Night Football in the NFL, maybe the most competitive division in the NFL. Could it be the NFC West? Because we're going to have Seattle and Arizona. You see Seattle. One fluke play at the end of the game from my offensive line got knocked into me. I dropped the football in a loss to the 49ers. But Seattle's rebounded nicely, which included an absolute pasting of the New Orleans Saints here this past weekend. Arizona, hard-fought loss and a demoralizing loss to the banged-up San Francisco 49ers because James Conner, he's going to be down for the season. I thought this would happen, Joe. We opened up as a 2.5-point favorite for Arizona, and I said early week, there's no way Arizona's going to stay a favorite, and they're not the favorite anymore. Live right now, -1.5s and -1s for the Seattle Seahawks as the favorites now over Arizona. Let's start here, Joe. Do you agree Seattle should be the favorite on Thursday Night Football?
Well, we have said it a lot, Donnie, right? Usually on short weeks in the NFL season, you and I always, look, we look at the home team. It's kind of home team or pass in the spot. But in this situation, I was on the 49ers last week, covered that game on In-Game Live on Sunday, and what I saw was the same thing that I've seen all the time here with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. It's just not smart football, Donnie. When they have opportunities, they figure out ways to shoot themselves in the foot, and they are not healthy on the defensive side of the ball, especially in that secondary. Now, Mac Jones was able to make them pay for it somewhat. You got to think Sam Darnold and his running game, yeah, they're going to be able to make them pay for it too. I didn't think the right team opened up as the favorite, and the market apparently agreed. Donnie, I'm with you. Seattle should have been the favorite, and they will go off the favorite before kickoff tomorrow night.
You know what I think is interesting about this game, too? Obviously, we have a close line here. It should be competitive. It's Thursday night, coming down from the Pacific Northwest down to Arizona. That is a travel, certainty that you are going to have a short work week, and let's just see if they can overcome that. Now, I do think Seattle overall right now is the better team. That was a devastating injury that they had to James Conner, but you know what it does? Opens up the marketplace. How many times did you look at Arizona like, of course you're just going to take James Conner to score a touchdown because he's the guy that they hand the football to inside the 5-yard line and, quite frankly, can catch it as well inside the red zone. Now you see Trey Benson at a plus 100 price, Trey McBride at plus 165. Somebody has to score, and it's not going to be James Conner.
Yeah, no, it is not here. But, think about it, too. You've got a Seattle team that has yet to allow more than, 17 points in a game. And if it wasn't for a couple of empty netters in that Carolina game, the Cardinals defense had been decent. And then the entire secondary ended up getting hurt. So I would actually look for Seattle's wide receivers to have a big game and look for some touchdowns in that market, because that secondary is a hot mess for the Cardinals right now.
Yeah, I love Jaxson, Smith, and Njigba. The guy is a player here at home, 100-yard games, touchdown games. He's giving that to you right now. That's why they were able to move off of DK Metcalf, knowing what they had behind him. Kyler Murray and Sam Darnold will be the two starting quarterbacks, Joe. 209.5 for Kyler Murray, 223.5 for Sam Darnold. If we line up the passing touchdowns here, both of them listed obviously at 1.5, but a little bit of a juice discrepancy. Kyler Murray plus 136 to throw to. Sam Darnold plus 154 to throw to. Why? Because people are probably loving Kenneth Walker getting his share of touchdown action in this game.
Yeah, and I kind of like on the side there the opportunity to take Kyler Murray over a half interception there, because I believe Seattle's defense, which is getting healthier as well, they are going to have an opportunity to pick a couple off here. So I think Kyler Murray is the guy that's going to have more yardage, because I think it's going to be more necessary for him, likely playing from behind, to get it done if Arizona has a shot.
NFC West standings here. Again, 2-1's a 3-0 team in the San Francisco 49ers. But if you look at the odds market right now, the 49ers are plus 110 price to win it. The Rams plus 180. The Seahawks plus 650. And the Cardinals 7-1. The one thing I'm not buying right now is the 49ers. I just think they're going to be too injured throughout the season. So I do see value with the Rams, Seahawks, and maybe if the Cardinals can hang around, Joe.
Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals are hanging around. They're going to need to get some serious health issues corrected there on the defensive side of the ball. I think they'll be fine offensively. But how is Seattle at the same price Arizona is? And is that going to be the same tomorrow after that game, Donnie?
No. I'm telling you, this is going to be one to watch at it, because I'm not high on the 49ers. Somebody needs to take the reins. And by the way, Seattle does win that football game on Thursday night. Why can't they be a player at this point? If they stay healthy, they're good enough to win the NFC West at this point right now. That's the way we see it. And hour number 2 is next. I can't wait to see this. I've never been a part of the early lineup. Let me be a part of it, people. We're back next. Football, more football. This is what we get you prepared for, Joe. We like to set the table for the SportsGrid day, which is going to be fantastic on a hump day Wednesday. You already understand that. But we always have our eye to the future of what's going to be popping off this weekend. And I'll tell you what's going to be popping off, maybe Raheem Morris's head, if they lose another game this week to the Washington Commanders. 30-0 against the Carolina Panthers this week. You got to be kidding me. Michael Penix still under center. No quarterback controversy just yet. We don't even know who's starting for the Washington Commanders, and yet the Commanders are a 1.5-point favorite this weekend over the Falcons. Now, the public is going to say, I just saw Atlanta this weekend. They are terrible. No way I'm betting them. We've seen this play out before, Joe. Any love for Atlanta, or you got to stay away because of how bad they were this past weekend?
Well, and you also have to take into consideration what's going on behind the scenes, Donnie. And what's going on behind the scenes is that one, but two Falcons coaches, one, the wide receivers coach, the other, the passing game coordinator, have both been fired after this game. And when you look at the numbers, well, it makes sense, right? Because it's not like Penix has found his receivers in the end zone. Yeah. I don't think he's got a touchdown pass to a receiver yet here, which is absolutely crazy. So this looks like already, Donnie, they are starting to point fingers in a million different directions here. And yet you got a dude with $180 million contract sitting on the bench, and your starter can't find any wide receivers to throw the ball to. I think this gets way uglier before it gets better.
By the way, I was so stunned this weekend. Like, if there was one score that you were checking out, it was that game. I just couldn't figure it out. Like, I remember, like, I'm not saying I wanted to take Atlanta, but like, man, Bijan is going to go nuts in this game. And all the injuries to the offensive line for the Carolina Panthers, they were so bad in that game. Atlanta, like, that was like a fireable football game where now you know all hands are on deck and they have to win this game. But that doesn't mean you always win it. You're playing a quality opponent in Washington. We'll see how that one plays out. How about Jalen Hurts? Big comeback in the second half last week, which included 3 touchdown passes. They're not going to go on the road and take on, I guess, their nemesis, because they don't really fare all that well when they head to Tampa Bay typically. But the Eagles, Joe, opened up as a 3-point favorite. Now 3.5. That news of Mike Evans being down, Igbuka's still a little bit banged up. The Eagles won again. This is an interesting game because even though I'm a big Eagles fan, last week, Joe, I loved the team total for the Los Angeles Rams. They hit that fairly easily, just about got it in the first half. I got to tell you, I like Tampa Bay, even with Mike Evans out in that underdog role. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're absolutely correct here. I mean, it's been crazy for the Eagles thus far. I mean, they were just outgained 356 yards to 288, yet managed to win and cover the spread, Donnie. But they have been outgained in every game this season, but they've only committed one turnover, which is huge. But Tampa Bay's defense has done a pretty good job so far holding the fort down and giving Baker Mayfield the opportunity to do what he's been doing late in games, which is winning games here. I think this is probably closer. I think it's a field goal game, Donnie. So to get the home team with the hook, it makes a ton of sense in this spot.
It does. It does make a ton of sense. And again, not being that homer, saying like there are apparent disadvantages right now with the Eagles offense. Maybe last week was an awakening, like let's get back to being aggressive. But this just has all the feel, right? 27-24, 24-21 in that realm where either one of these teams can win. I hope the Eagles win and they're favored to win this game. But just because you're down a top wide receiver, boy, I've seen Baker Mayfield sling it at times where he wasn't supposed to win. Like, you know what? That's the Baker that we all know and love. We'll see if he shows up on Sunday against the Eagles. Are we for real, Joe? That's the question. The Indianapolis Colts, a perfect 3-0, hammering opponents, it feels like left and right, got a break against the Denver Broncos, heading on the road against the Rams. Now, I know you love this, and you talked about this last week. Don't you go out and lose 2 games in a row. You know, lost 2 games in a row, the Denver Broncos, because of a tough call. They went out west. They still got beat against the Chargers. You saw that game against the Rams. This was over. This was won. This was easy money for the Rams backers and the Rams team themselves. They collapsed in Philadelphia, Joe. Don't let this turn into a 2-game losing streak, but will it, man? Colts look good.
Yeah, the Colts look good, but this is a different test than what they have had here. You know, Miami, you beat Tennessee, you mix in a Denver team that should have won the game, dominated you in that game, and yet found a way to shoot themselves in the foot. The problem is now all of a sudden the Rams just shot themselves in the foot, and they're not going to do that under Sean McVay 2 weeks and a row. This is going to be a very focused Rams team here looking to bounce back. And Indy is going to be tested like they have not been tested yet in 3 weeks. This is where I think we see the regression from good old Daniel Jones in this spot against this defense.
Like, aren't we waiting for, like, the old Daniel Jones to show up? Like, they've been so impressive, and Steichen's got him there, and it just feels like you're going up against a pretty good pass rush. And I said it last week, like, that was a game for them to lose. Like, Don, it was the Titans not going to lose. But you have to understand, they won their first 2 games at home. We don't think they're that good. This is a spot they could trip up and figure they're better than they thought. They really handled their business. They go into L.A. and win that game on the road. Shane Steichen, coach of the year early after 4 games, no doubt about it here. But how about this game coming up on the dial? 2 1-2 football teams. The Kansas City Chiefs beating the Giants to get their first win. Another epic collapse here for Baltimore at home going up against Detroit. Now, granted, Detroit's a pretty good football team. I didn't see them on my bingo card being 1-2 going up against each other. I do agree, though, that the Baltimore Ravens, Joe, they should be a favorite against the Kansas City Chiefs at -2.5. Maybe the Chiefs get back Xavier Worthy this week. I just don't love the Chiefs. I say to myself, the trust factor on offense is way more for me on the Baltimore side than it is the Chiefs side, and I'll let the defensive chips fall where they may. I agree with this, but also a 48.5. Are we expecting a lot of scoring for Kansas City? Do they up their game against that Baltimore D, Joe?
Well, they're going to have to because that total is pretty
Yeah.
pretty extensive there, Donnie, in this game. I mean, in Baltimore's look, I mean, they've scored 40 points twice. They scored 30 points last game, even though it was kind of an empty netter there at the end. But this is a problem. This defense of the Ravens is a problem. They have holes everywhere. Defensive line, the linebackers aren't as good. The secondary is getting absolutely destroyed. I can't think of a better coach quarterback combo to do everything and fill in and take advantage of those Ravens deficiencies defensively than the Kansas City Chiefs, who now find themselves for a second time this season, Donnie, as a dog at Arrowhead. I don't think, I'm sorry, can't do it. Chiefs in every teaser at +2.5 to 8.5 for me this week.
Wow. How about this song, Joe? I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. That's Micah Parsons back to Jerry World with a ton of cash in his pocket. Now, Green Bay also talking about, hey, we're probably going to run the table in this thing. They got beat by the Cleveland Browns last week. Dallas looked absolutely incredibly inept versus Chicago Bears and got injured with CeeDee Lamb. Look at this price point right now. Open up at 5.5. You see this graphic coming up at 6.5. Other outlets here now listed at 7 as a favorite for the Green Bay Packers. No love for the Lone Star Dallas Cowboys.
No, well, and why would they? But they are at home. And again, it's still big boy football in the NFL here. I did not like what I watched from that Green Bay side of the ball. They've got not one, but 2 starting offensive linemen out. And we saw what happens when you can't protect Jordan Love there. And we saw what that defense can do. The problem is the Cowboys defense is not set up to make his life miserable here. So still like Green Bay to get it done. I like him to get it done early as well in the first half in this game.
Like, just why? Like, where is the offense coming from? We're throwing 75 times to Jake Ferguson, and maybe George Pickens won't break his helmet as he gets angry on the sideline at this point. I just have no love right now for the Cowboys. And no, not because Donnie lost a bet last week on Dak Prescott over 1.5 touchdown passes. You watch that game play out. That team is not good on offense and not good on defense. That's a lethal combination. But, Joe, let me ask you about that total. It's high at 47.5. Are we getting a lot of points? Didn't see a lot of points last week either from the Green Bay Packers.
Well, if they can't stop Green Bay or get any pressure on Jordan Love, then they will drop. They'll get a lot of frustration out against that Cowboys defense.